Warning, this video will be filled with spoilers. Hello everyone, this is the Otaku Swedish analyst here, and today, Steins Gate. What can I say about Steins Gate? It's one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever seen. On my mail, I rated it a 10, and after watching Steins Gate movie, Steins Gate Zero, and watching a bit of K, I said, I've concluded this is a masterpiece of a show, and I'm planning on playing the game and rewatching the show. Anyways, after watching Steins Gate Zero around half a year after watching the first Steins Gate, I'm starting to really get the sense that this anime is very expansive, and there's a lot of lore to this anime and to the world of Steins Gate. And one thing I noticed is that both of these anime are actually very different from each other, and that's because these two anime are actually separated into two different attractor fields. Now, an attractor field is an cluster of world lines where every world line leads to a single and unique converging point. All of the world lines that range from 0 to 0.99% are alpha, and those ranging from 1 to 1.99% are beta. And the Steins Gate follows the future Gadget Lab in mostly the alpha attractor field, and Steins Gate Zero follows them most in the beta attractor field. So there's the core difference. But I've noticed that there's so many differences between all these two anime, and there's a couple of similarities as well. So for today, I'm gonna run down a whole list of all these differences and similarities. Right, but before that, I have to say that there are three attractor fields in total in the anime. There are Beta, Alpha, and the Steins timeline. Now, the Steins timeline, um, both Mayuri and Kirisu lives. Nothing really bad happens, and also I have to say that in these free attractor fields are many world lines. There are actually infinite amount of these world lines, and it's also there's also like some weird semi world line called the attractor field Omega, where Mayuri and Daru never meet Okabe, and him and first become a couple, but that's only consists of like half an episode in the main Steins Gate anime. Anyways, the first difference is between the beta and the alpha timeline is in the beta one. The timeline eventually leads to World War III, where Russia and America are fighting against each other for a time machine. When the time machine is C204, and actually one of the direct causes to World War III in the Einstein Gate Zero is the incident where Mayuri and Souza travel back to episode 22 to convince Ocarine to save Kurisu. However, the time machine C204 actually gets destroyed by a missile. And in the Alpha timeline, the world becomes a dystopia run by CERN, and CERN is striving for world power and control. Everything has to go their exact way, and because Okabe and all of the other lab members created and experimented with a man-made time machine, where they experimented with D-mails that could travel faster than the speed of light, and where you send one, you enter a divergence point where you enter another world line, and CERN doesn't like that, and they want to control that. So that's why, for example, in episode 12, Mayuri gets shot by Mocha, and Mocha is a part of CERN, but we'll get to that later. Another difference I've seen is that in the beta attractor field, Mayuri, yeah, that was awful, but she lives, and Christina dies because of her father, being jealous of her being smart and way smarter than he is. She got a PhD and she graduated at just the age of 17 from university. Gosh, what am I doing with my life? So you can see, Krisu lives in the um, alpha, and Myri lives in the beta, but they're both alive in the Steinsgate timeline. But also in the Warlands of Beta, Ruka is a guy. Now, I actually thought at first that he would be a guy in all of the Warlands, but that's not correct. He's actually a girl in most of the Warlands in Alpha. That's actually the gender that Ruka wants it to be. But there's not a lot to say about um, that really. Also, there's fairies who her father actually died of an illness, and maybe and that's actually a reason why fairies is so outgoing in the anime, because she lost her father at such an early age, and she wants to have a community around her, and but in the in the most of the alpha world as Fairstad is actually alive, and that's cool and all. In the beta attractor field, Ocarine and Supahaka resumes time travel. I hope you got that reference, by the way. In the future where World of Free happens, but that's not the case in the Alpha Warlords because Stern stopped them from doing that. And also in the beta attractor field, Nakabachi gives the presentation about the fear of time travel, but and then he or Okaba kills Kirisu. But in the alpha attractor field, Nakabashi's presentation is actually cancelled. In the beta worldline, also the time machine, uh, FG214, which is another future gadget, it appears around atop of their lab, and Suzuha, um, she is actually also aware that Daru is her father, but the difference in the Alpha World is that she she kind of intuitively knows that Daru, she has some kind of connection with Daru, but there she doesn't really know until episode around 16 or 17. Also in the beta, but it crashes the time machine. That's what I want to say. Also, in the beta world line, Okabe requires the IBM F5100 computer, which is actually used for um, making a time machine, like the real or the time leap machine. The time leap machine. It's used for making the time leap machine. But in the um, in the Alpha World line, he actually fails to acquire this IBM 5100, except for the first Alpha World line. And in the Beta World line, Suzuha is aware that she's Daru's daughter, as I said, and yeah, she's not aware in Alpha World line where she basically traveled from Beta and diverged into Alpha. Let's see, what more do we have? There's a lot of things, as you can see already. Yeah, there are also a ton of similarities between Steins and Steins and Zero. One of them being that Souza acquires an IBM 5100 in both timelines. There's also that John Tider, which is Souza, travels to 2010 in both timelines. Also, that all the characters get to know each other, and in both timelines, a secret organization is running against them. In Alpha, being CERN, and the Beta timeline being either Russia or America, and Alexis Leshkman, who is following them in that timeline. And also, in both timelines, time travel is possible, and they make a phone microwave in both timelines, and emails, reading Steiner, convergence, divergences, all these things exist in both timelines. All these things are possible. Time travel is possible in both timelines, and a dystopia will happen in both timelines. So you can see this whole list proves to you that the alpha and beta attractive fields are actually very different. But with this list, I hope you'll get to kind of appreciate and understand all the differences between these two world lines. And also, there may be a difference or similarity that I forgot to mention, but make sure you leave that in the comment section below. And thank you all for watching, and El Sai Kunguru.